The Drunken Night. The night was loud inside the alien bar. Music played from strange metallic instruments that gave off both sound and vibration. The walls of the place glowed faintly with neon lights that shifted from green to red every few seconds. Smoke from alien pipes hung in the air, heavy and bitter. Different species sat at round tables, some drinking, some gambling, some shouting at one another. To most aliens, this was just another night, another escape from the cold void of space. At the far side of the room, a young human worked quietly. He wore a clean white shirt and black trousers. He carried drinks from table to table, keeping his head low. His movements were calm, careful, almost invisible. Many aliens barely noticed him. To them, he was only a servant. Humans were not common. Here, and those who were present usually worked in low positions. The human did not speak unless spoken to. He served the drinks, wiped the tables, and stood still behind the counter. Yet one pair of eyes kept following him. She was a young alien woman with blue skin, bright silver hair, and glowing eyes that caught the light of the room. She had already finished 3 strong drinks, and her 4th glass was half empty. Her laughter was loud, her words slurred, and her hands moved wildly as she spoke to her friends. Still, her attention always drifted back to the human. Her friends noticed. They laughed and told her to leave the human alone, but the girl shook her head. "No!" she shouted, her words clumsy. "Look at him! Look at the way he stands! Too calm, too cold, like he hides something." The others only waved her off, but the girl's curiosity grew stronger. She slammed her glass on the table, spilling half the drink. Then she stood, swaying on her feet, her eyes fixed on the human behind the counter. He was pouring a drink for another customer, his face steady, showing no emotion. The girl stumbled forward. Step by step, she moved closer until she stood right in front of him. He looked at her briefly, then went back to his work. She leaned in, her breath sharp with alcohol. "You," she said, pointing a finger at him. "Why do you look so calm? Why do you hide your eyes? What are you?" The human said nothing. He simply placed the drink on the counter and started to wipe the surface with a cloth. Her anger rose. The silence mocked her. She wanted a reaction. She wanted to break the calm mask on his face. In her drunken haze, she reached forward and grabbed his shirt. With one sudden pull, the button snapped. The cloth tore open across his chest. The bar went silent. Every sound stopped. The music, the laughter, the shouts, all cut off as if the air itself froze. The human did not move. His shirt hung open, revealing a chest marked with a strange symbol. It glowed faintly, lines of sharp angles and curves that seemed almost alive. It was no tattoo. It was something older, something deeper, something that did not belong to an ordinary man. The alien girl's eyes widened. The alcohol seemed to vanish from her system in a single breath. Her mouth hung open as she stared at the glowing mark. I know this," she whispered. Her voice shook, no longer playful or mocking. "That symbol, it is not possible. It belongs to—" She stopped herself, her words trembling in fear. The other aliens leaned forward from their tables. Some stood, up to get a closer look. Their whispers filled the silence. "Impossible," one muttered. "It cannot be true," another said. "That mark, it is forbidden." The girl staggered back, her hand still clutching the torn fabric. Her glowing eyes met his calm, steady gaze. For the first time in the night, she felt sober. For the first time, she felt afraid. The human looked at her without anger, without fear. His eyes were cold, unshaken, as if he had expected this moment to arrive. Slowly, he fixed his shirt, though the cloth hung loose and broken. He did not speak. He did not need to. The silence was enough. Around the bar, the whispers grew louder. One alien pushed his chair back and left quickly, almost running for the door. Another pressed a hand to his communicator, muttering in a secret language. The mark on the human's chest was not just strange, it was dangerous. The girl stepped back again, her face pale under the blue skin. Her friends stayed seated, their faces frozen in shock. None of them dared to laugh now. Finally, the girl found her voice again. You are not just a waiter," she said softly, almost to herself. The human gave no reply. He simply lifted a glass from the counter, poured water into it, and took a slow drink. His calmness only made the fear in the room grow stronger. The silence of the bar stretched. The weight of the moment pressed on every being inside. Something had been revealed, something that should have stayed hidden, and the night that began with drunken laughter now felt like the start of a storm. The silence inside the bar was heavy. Every alien eye remained fixed on the human's chest. The faint glow of the mark spread across his skin like hidden fire. The shape was sharp, like an old geometric maze. It pulsed once, then faded back into a dim light, as if alive but sleeping. The alien girl who had torn his shirt stood frozen. Her hands shook. She did not know whether to run or to kneel. She had grown up hearing old stories whispered in her people's homes. They were stories told to frighten children, stories of a race that could not be ruled, a race that carried marks of resistance, marks of strength. But those were only tales. They were not supposed to be real. Now one stood right in front of her, a human, a simple waiter. The human's face did not change. His eyes were still calm like the surface of a cold ocean. He reached up and touched the broken cloth, closing his shirt half-heartedly. But everyone had already seen the truth. There was no way to hide it anymore. The whispers inside the bar turned into nervous voices. Some aliens argued in low tones. It cannot be him. Humans are weak. They are nothing. Then why does he carry the symbol? It is cursed. It brings war. We must inform the authorities. The alien girl felt her throat tighten. She knew she had caused this. Her drunken hand had torn away a mask that should never have been removed. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. I did not mean... The human's eyes met hers. For a moment, she felt the weight of something older, heavier than anything she had ever known. She saw no anger in him, but she saw no mercy either, only patience. The patience of someone waiting for the right time. At that moment, the door of the bar opened. Two armored guards stepped inside, their black suits gleaming under the neon lights. They were not ordinary soldiers. Their armor bore the crest of the planetary station's security force. Their eyes scanned the room until they found the human at the counter. One of the guards raised his communicator. "We found him," he said in a deep voice. The room grew colder. The human did not move. He poured another drink, set it on the counter for a customer who did not dare to take it. His hands were steady, but the mark on his chest faintly glowed. Again, like a heartbeat hidden under the skin. The guards walked forward, weapons in their hands. "Human," one said firmly, "you will come with us." No one in the bar dared to breathe. The alien girl stepped aside, her legs weak. She wanted to hide, but she could not stop watching. Her mind screamed that she had unleashed something far larger than her mistake. The human finally placed the glass down. He turned his head slightly toward the guards. His voice was calm, but it carried through the entire room. "Do you understand what you are asking?" The guard frowned. "You carry a forbidden mark. It belongs to an ancient enemy of the Council. You will be taken for questioning." The human stood slowly. He was not taller than the guards, but his presence was heavier. The mark pulsed brighter. The glow spread faintly across his skin, lines running like rivers under the surface. "The alien," girl gasped. She recognized it. She had once seen an old carving in her grandfather's home, a carving of warriors surrounded by fire. The same lines were carved into stone, glowing in the stories told by elders. They were marks of defiance, marks that spoke of a power that even great empires feared. The guards raised their weapons higher. Around the room, aliens pressed themselves against the walls, too afraid to move closer. The human's calm steps echoed on the metal floor as he walked toward the guards. Each step seemed too heavy for a man who was supposed to be weak. The alien girl whispered to herself, "It cannot be real. Humans are not supposed to be like this." The human stopped only a step away from the guards. His eyes narrowed, and for the first time a shadow of anger crossed his face. He looked at their weapons, then at the crest on their armor. "Your council fears what it does not understand," he said. His voice was still steady, but it carried a sharp edge now. The guards tensed. One raised his weapon fully. "Do not resist!" The glow from his chest flared again, brighter this time. The mark seemed to breathe, the lines alive, ancient, dangerous. The light reflected in every alien eye in the bar. The alien girl fell, back into her chair, her heart racing. She realized the stories were not only real, they were standing in front of her, awake, and no one in this room had the strength to control them. The human finally spoke again, his words slow and heavy. "I do not fear your counsel, and I will not kneel." The guards exchanged quick looks. Fear flickered across their eyes for a moment. The alien girl, now fully sober, gripped the table in front of her. She knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy had just made a mistake. A very big mistake. The bar had become a place of frozen fear. The glowing mark on the human's chest pulsed like a slow heartbeat, each flash spreading across the room like a wave of warning. The guards stood stiff, their weapons raised, but their hands trembling. No one wanted to be the first to fire. The alien girl sat back in her chair, her eyes wide, her throat dry. She had never believed the old stories. She had laughed when elders spoke about humans as dangerous. To her, humans were weak, servants, creatures with no power. But now she saw the truth glowing in front of her. The stories had been warnings, warnings her people had ignored. The whispers began again. Aliens at the tables leaned toward one another, speaking quickly in hushed tones. "It is the mark of the defiant ones." "No. The defiant ones were destroyed long ago. Then why do I see it glowing on his chest? If this is true, the galaxy is in danger." The guards tried to stay strong, but their voices betrayed them. One guard shouted, "Do not listen to the lies. This is only a trick. Humans are nothing but workers." But his words carried no weight. Every eye stayed on the human, who stood calm and still, as if time itself waited for him. The alien girl felt her body shake. She remembered nights as a child when her mother told her never to speak of the defiant ones. She remembered the carvings, on ancient stone, hidden deep in caves. The glowing lines on those carvings matched the light she now saw on his chest. Those who carried the mark were said to bring collapse to any empire that tried to control them. The girl whispered to herself, "The legends are alive!" The human finally moved. He walked slowly back toward the counter, his calm steps echoing across the silent bar. He poured another glass of water and drank it as if nothing had happened. The glow dimmed, but the fear in the room did not fade. One alien, old and gray, stood from the corner table. His voice cracked, but it carried. "I have seen that mark before. Long ago, during the war between my people and the old council. We thought it was gone forever. But it belongs to the race that does not kneel, the race that fights until the end." The room fell into deeper silence. The words were like a blade cutting through the air. The guards exchanged worried looks. They whispered into their communicators, calling for reinforcements. But their fear was clear. They had walked into something far larger than they understood. The alien girl's hands gripped the table tight. Her drunken mistake had become a fire that no one could put out. She looked at the human again. He was not angry. He was not afraid. He was simply waiting. That scared her more than any weapon. Then the door burst open again. More guards poured inside, their armor clanging against the metal floor. They surrounded the bar, pointing weapons at the human. The customers pressed back against the walls. No one wanted to be caught in the storm. The commander of the guards, a tall alien with green scales, stepped forward. His voice was cold and sharp. "Human, by order of the council, you are under arrest. You carry the forbidden mark. You will be taken alive, but you will not resist." The human set his glass down gently. He turned his head toward the commander, his calm eyes never blinking. "You mistake silence for weakness, and you mistake service for surrender." The mark on his chest flickered again, brighter this time. The guards tightened their grips on their weapons, their fear clear even through their armor. The alien girl could not look away. Her heart pounded. She realized the galaxy had been living with a dangerous lie, that humans were weak, that humans were nothing. But this man standing in front of her carried proof that the truth was different. Humans were not slaves. Humans were not silent shadows. They were something else, something the galaxy had forgotten. The whispers grew louder among the crowd. If this is true, the council cannot hide it. They tried to erase the history, but it lives on. The defiant ones have returned. The commander shouted again, trying to control the fear. "Take him!" The guards moved forward. The alien girl's breath caught in her throat. She felt she was watching the first spark of a fire that would spread across the stars. And the human only stood taller, his calm face now carrying the shadow of a storm. The order had been given. Dozens of guards stepped closer, their boots heavy against the metal floor. The bar shook with each step. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy, ready to fire. But no one inside the bar believed those weapons would be enough. The human stood, silent, his chest still glowing faintly. His hands were empty, but his presence filled the room like a storm about to break. The alien girl could not breathe. She felt trapped between fear and awe. Her drunken mistake had pulled open a secret that now threatened the entire station. The commander raised his arm and pointed directly at the human. "Seize him!" he shouted. The guards rushed forward. The first tried to grab the human's arm. The moment his hand touched the human's skin, a flash of light burst from the glowing mark. The guard was thrown back as if struck by a great force. His body slammed into the wall and fell, motionless. The bar gasped in shock. Two more guards fired their weapons. Bright bolts of energy filled the air, but before they could reach him, the light from his chest flared. The bolts bent in midair, curving away from his body and striking harmlessly into the ceiling. The sound of burning metal echoed. Smoke filled the room. The alien girl's hands trembled. She whispered to herself, "He is untouchable." The human stepped forward slowly. His eyes were sharp, glowing faintly in the dim light. "You come with weapons," he said calmly, "but you do not understand the fire you try to hold." The commander gritted his teeth. "Do not listen to his words, overwhelm him." More guards charged, trying to pin him down, but as they drew closer, the light spread across his body, shaping into lines of power. Their armor cracked when they touched him. Their weapons shattered like glass. One by one, they fell to the ground, stunned and broken. The room was filled with chaos. Customers screamed and ducked under tables. Some ran toward the doors but froze, afraid to draw attention. Others only stared, knowing they were witnessing something history would remember. The alien girl could not move. Her glowing eyes locked on him. She remembered the stories again, the legends her elders told with fear. They said the defiant ones did not need armies. A single one could stand against an empire. She realized now those were not just tales. They were warnings. The commander, desperate and furious, raised his heavy plasma rifle. He aimed directly at the human's chest and fired a long burst. The beam of energy cut through the air, bright and deadly. The human did not flinch. The glow on his chest exploded outward like a shield. The energy dissolved before it touched him, scattering into sparks. The commander staggered back, disbelief on his face. The human finally spoke again, his voice cold. "You think strength is in weapons, but strength is not in what you hold. It is in what you endure." The alien girl felt her knees weaken. The words were simple, but they carried a weight greater than the commander's orders. She knew the truth now. The galaxy had made a mistake. The council had made a mistake. They believed humans were tools. But this man showed they were storms waiting to be unleashed. The commander shouted in rage and fear, "Kill him!" Every guard in the room raised their weapons. A storm of energy blasts filled the air. The bar shook with the roar of weapons fire. Lights shattered, tables burned, smoke rose thick and heavy. But when the smoke cleared, the human still stood. The glow of his chest was brighter than ever, casting shadows across the walls. The ground around him cracked as if the very station rejected the attack. The guards who had fired were thrown back, groaning in pain, their weapons broken. The alien girl covered her mouth. Her heart raced. She knew the galaxy would never be the same after this night. The human looked at the commander, who stood frozen in fear now. The calmness in his eyes was gone. Instead, there was fire. His voice cut through the smoke like a blade. "I warned you. I do not kneel." The commander stumbled back, his courage broken. He realized he was not facing a man. He was facing a force. The alien girl whispered to herself again, her voice trembling. "He is the beginning of the end." And in that moment, everyone inside the bar knew the confrontation was not just about one human. It was about the truth the galaxy had tried to bury, a truth that now stood tall and unbroken. The bar was in ruins. Smoke curled from broken lamps. Shattered tables lay across the floor, and the smell of burned metal filled the air. Guards groaned on the ground, their weapons twisted and useless. The crowd of aliens stayed pressed against the walls, afraid to move, afraid to even breathe too loudly. At the center of the destruction stood the human. His shirt was torn, his chest glowing with the mark that had shaken every soul in the room. His calm face no longer looked like that of a waiter. It was the face of someone who carried history, someone who carried power that no empire could erase. The alien girl stared at him, her eyes wide. She had started the night drunk and careless, laughing and mocking. But now her laughter was gone, replaced by awe and fear. She whispered to herself, "This is no servant. This is a storm." The commander of the guards, still standing though, shaken, raised his trembling hand. His voice was weak now. You are a threat to the council. You must be destroyed." The human stepped forward slowly. His footsteps echoed through the silence. The glow from his chest spread faintly across the floor, casting light on the broken weapons. His voice was calm, steady, but heavy with warning. "You call me a threat because you fear what you cannot control. But humans are not your slaves. We are not weak. We are not silent." The alien girl's heart pounded as she listened. His words carried power that no weapon could match. They were words that would spread far beyond this bar, words that could not be forgotten. The commander tried to hold his ground, but his voice shook. "The council will not allow this. You will be hunted." The human's eyes narrowed. The glow from his chest flared brighter, filling the room with white light. "Then let them hunt," he said coldly, "and let them learn what it means when a human stands tall." A wave of energy pulsed outward from his chest. The commander was thrown back across the floor, his armor cracking. The remaining guards stumbled and fell. The entire bar trembled as if the station itself felt the force of his words. The alien crowd gasped. None of them moved. None of them dared. The human looked around the room. His gaze was steady, piercing every face. "You have lived under a lie," he said. "The council told you humans are weak. The council told you we are nothing. But look at me. Look at what they tried to bury. We are not weak. We endure. We rise. We fight." The alien girl felt tears in her eyes. She knew in that moment that everything would change. This single man, this single human, had shattered the illusion the galaxy had believed for generations. His calm defiance was more terrifying and more powerful than any weapon. He turned toward the door. The glow faded slightly but still burned faintly beneath his skin. As he stepped forward, the crowd parted silently, creating a path for him. No one tried to stop him. No one even spoke. They only watched as he walked through the ruins he had created, his back straight, his presence unbroken. The alien girl reached out as he passed, her voice trembling. Who are you?" He paused for only a moment. His eyes met hers, and she felt the weight of countless battles and endless endurance in his gaze. His voice was low but clear. "I am human." And then he walked out, leaving behind silence, heavy with fear and awe. The alien girl sank into her chair. She knew she had unleashed something unstoppable. Her mistake had pulled away a mask the council had worked for centuries to keep in place. Now the truth would spread. The whispers would grow into shouts, and the galaxy would learn the legend of humanity was not a myth. It was real, it was alive, and it had just stood tall.